or to say, this is somebody I can help for sure. I know for a fact that we can make progress. And what are the markers that you would look at and go, you're more like the guy at the pool of Bethesda. You're not really ready to fix the problem. You're too happy in your misery.
Yeah, you've been there 30 years and you're okay with that.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you couldn't, I'm just saying you won't.
Right, exactly. No, I love working with people who...
Hey, welcome to Storypower TV. I am your host, Loren Norris. I'm so glad you're here today. By the way, if you're watching on any of the social media, whether it's Rumble or Zoom or any of the others, just reach down there and hit the little button, like and subscribe. And if you're watching on OBBM Network or TViewer or any of those others, and you can actually see us on your Roku or your Fire or your Apple TV, then I also want you to subscribe to the channel you're watching it on. You may have stumbled across this, but you got to let the world know that you found something worth sharing. And then do it. Share it with everybody. You know, from time to time we run into people that when they cross our path, we think, yeah, that's an interesting somebody. I'm not exactly sure that given this one circumstance not being what it was, we would have ever crossed paths. And my guest in studio this time is one of those people that, had it not been for Kingdom Speakers, for Summer Days Accelerator Program, we probably would have never crossed paths. I mean, we run in very similar circles, but that was the one Venn diagram overlap, if you will, that said, this is why we're in the world together at the same season at the same time. And when you run into people like that, the more you get to know them, the more you get to understand why God let that moment of time overlap. Because there's something you're supposed to do together. Well, our guest in studio is one of those somebodies that as we've worked more together, we get to know what it is we're supposed to be doing together. So please help me welcome to the studio, Dawn Shannon. Dawn, thanks for being here.
Hey, Loren, nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So the tough question that everybody has to answer on the show, on Storypower TV, it's always the same question. Who is Jesus to you?
You know, I've seen that question before, and I always wondered, what would I say? And now here's my opportunity to get to answer it. Who is Jesus to me? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Jesus is not only my Savior, but He is my provider. I will say that. The entrepreneurial journey is an interesting one, as you well know, and I've been leaning on Him as my provider for almost a decade in that way, and He comes through every single time.
And why should I care?
You should care because as an entrepreneur yourself, I'm telling you, He is your provider too. There's just nothing like it, because when you don't know literally when your next client is going to come through the door, when you're going to be able to pay your next bill, He's always there providing for you, for me, and for anyone who believes.
Excellent. So in our time together, we've done some work together in one-on-one coaching, but we've also done a lot of stuff with Summer, done a lot of stuff with Zoom and other clients, serving them as well. And I've heard you say over and over again that one of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs have is not succeeding because, what's the biggest because you find for entrepreneurs who don't find success?
Wow. A lot of it is time management, but it's also taking action. Taking action. They get caught in overthinking, overwhelm, and then they just don't take action. It's so interesting how so many people want to do great things. They're called to do great things, but they believe they can't. So I really come in and I help them believe in themselves and take action. Purposeful, consistent action that gets them out of their comfort zone and helps them do the things that they're called to do.
I think I heard you say the other day, it's on one of the stages you were on, something along the lines of, do you ever get to the end of the day and feel like you've done nothing? You're wrong.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, again, we as entrepreneurs, as people in general, we have a long list of to-dos every single day, and I think we add more to it every day.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, your whole day goes by, and we all have the same amount of time, and you just think, what did I even get done today? And you feel worthless, really. Like I did nothing today.
Right.
But it's those small things, those small incremental wins throughout the day that we need to be mindful of, because it helps keep our momentum up and our motivation up. Celebrating those wins, big and small.
And so what happens when you don't?
Ooh, what happens when you don't? You get defeated, deflated, all the things where you just feel like, I'm not making progress. I'm not doing the things. As an entrepreneur, you're like, maybe I just need to go back to corporate.
Right.
And
Go get a JOB.
Go get a JOB. You know what that stands for, right?
Just over broke for most
Just
people.
over broke. Exactly.
But you're making somebody else rich.
Exactly. So when you miss those opportunities to celebrate those wins, it can really deflate you and just keep you in a box that Satan likes to keep you in sometimes. And it doesn't allow you to shine and be your greatness and step into your purpose.
Do you feel like not just entrepreneurialism, but walking in the kingdom have similarities in that way?
Good question. Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people who look at their life and they say, well, God can't use me because.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very similar to their excuse set when they're in entrepreneurialism, right?
Yeah.
I don't have enough people. I don't have enough funds. I don't have enough talent. I don't have enough skill. I need another certification. I need a little more education. I need a little more something else.
Right.
And people in the church, people in the kingdom in general, they're born-again believers. They're sold out. They believe in God, but they don't obey God.
Yeah.
They might hear him call to do something, and suddenly, I think, was it you that talks about the Moses mode and just going the other way? All of a sudden, you're like, I'm not doing that. I mean,
yeah.
Or the Jonah mode. Forget it. I'm
Right.
going fishing.
Right.
Right. But we make excuses to keep us from being and doing what God called us into.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we are all called to do something here on this earth. We were put here to do something. We all have an assignment. And I do talk about the Jonah moment and how he was swallowed up by a big fish and he stayed in the belly of the whale for 3 days. I've been in the belly of the whale for maybe 9 years now, running from my assignment. It's dark. It's scary.
Smelly.
And it's not a place I want to stay.
Right.
And many of us have that. There is that Moses moment. I don't speak good enough. I don't have the message that God called me to. I need Aaron, my brother, to come and speak the message for me.
Speak on my behalf.
Yes. But we're all called for a purpose and a reason and assignment. And we have to start running from that assignment and step into God's purpose for our lives.
So one of the things that seems like a consistent theme, especially with kingdom-based entrepreneurs, is that the greatest weapon of the enemy for someone who has an assignment is fear.
Yes.
I mean, David came, heard Goliath scolding the Israelites, and he's like, what are you people doing? I mean, why are you letting him? And they're like, dude, he's a giant. Can't you see that? He's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, my God's bigger than that.
Right.
And they're like, okay, well, take him on. Here, take my armor. He's like, that doesn't fit me. And I think a lot of people fall into I need to follow this coach, or I need to ascribe to this mentor. I need to be a part of this program, get this education, get this certification, Saul's armor, before I can go into battle. And so they find themselves overwhelmed with the constant study. My excuse for not taking action is I'm not yet prepared.
Yeah.
I remember when John Maxwell brought it to my attention. In fact, it was on a coaching call. John said, luck is always waiting at the same intersection. Mm-hmm. Between preparedness and opportunity.
Yeah.
And of course, like I do with everything, I heard that and I thought, is there evidence in my life that that's true? Mm. And I thought back to a moment where I went to a speaking event where a bunch of people were getting together. They all wanted to be professional speakers. This was early in my career, almost 15 years ago. And heard a lady speak from the front of the room who was the person who worked for an enormous Fortune 50 company, and she put people on the stage $20,000 to $25,000 at a time, but she only had a list of 3 or 4 people that she would hire. And one of those guys brought her in the room to say, look, I'm telling you, there's a certain way to get on stage, and if you don't do it this way, it's not going to happen. Yeah. And so she validated everything he said, and I realized at that moment in time I was way out of my league. But I saw her at the back of the room, and I walked up and just said, hey, I want to say thank you. You've saved me a lot of time and heartache. I understand what the pathway looks like to get to the place where I want to be. And she said, well, you seem very articulate. What is it you talk about? And I said, well, I talk about the power of PDA. She's like, I'm in HR. I've been in HR for years. PDA and HR do not go together.
We don't talk about that.
We're not talking about that. And I said, no, not public displays of affection. I'm talking about public displays of appreciation. And she said, okay, tell me more. I said, well, according to research, 60% of people that leave a job don't leave a job over the payroll. They don't leave a job over the opportunity. They don't leave a job over promotion. They leave a job because they feel like they're not appreciated, because most people have never been taught the language of appreciation.
Wow.
And she said, how much do you charge, and do you have your calendar available? And at that moment in time, I had only presented that talk once to a team of about 12 people.
Wow.
I didn't have a business card. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a fee structure. I had no idea what I was doing. And I said, actually, I don't, but thank you. And I turned around and walked away.
Oh, no.
That was the intersection,
No.
right? Opportunity came. Luck was looking to see if I was prepared, and the answer was I wasn't. And I'm afraid when we look at people, whether we're talking about the kingdom opportunity to lead somebody to Christ, or to pray over the sick, or to pray for the lost, we're not prepared.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity comes and goes, and we're like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I wish I was ready.
Yeah.
I wish I was ready for your sake and not mine. For those that I could have served and I failed to.
Yes.
And sometimes it's our selfishness, our ego, our pride that says, I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want people to laugh at me. I don't want people to wonder if I'm any good at this.
Yeah.
And so we stop.
Yeah.
Has that been your experience in the people that you've coached towards success and better managing the priorities of their time?
Yeah. You know what I call that? The 92% trap.
Tell me more.
So there's a study that says only 8% of people achieve their dreams. So that means 92% of people are stuck in just what you talked about.
8% achieve their, you use the word dreams, not goals. Because there are a lot of people that set goals every year, every January, right? So
Yeah.
is that what we're talking about?
You can interchange it. This study says dreams. It can be dreams or goals.
Okay.
Some people have a little, problem with that, right? A
Well,
dream
so
or a goal.
I guess for me, I would say the goal is a step toward the dream.
Yeah.
Like it's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah,
a similar
that's
way that
good.
you would define it?
Yeah.
So the 8% don't achieve their dreams. You don't mean in 90 days I'm going to drop X pounds. You're talking about they give up on everything? The 92%?
The 92% are stuck believing the lies
Okay.
that you just talked about. Believing the lies that they're not good enough, that they don't have what it takes, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, and they allow themselves to stay in that 92%
Right.
and never go for their dreams.
So they just give up on their dreams.
Most people do.
And the 8%, when they succeed, is that like a lifetime achievement, or is that a one step toward the lifetime achievement? What does that look like?
A lot of people leave that deep-seated dream on the back burner, but when they do remember it or repurpose it, they go for it.
Right.
And when they come into alignment with people like me who help them get results, right? Results coaching, accountability coaching, they get there faster.
And so what is it that you, in the initial setup with your client, what is it you're looking for to say, this is somebody I can help for sure? I know for a fact that we can make progress. And what are the markers that you would look at and go, you're more like the guy at the pool of Bethesda. You're not really ready to fix the problem. You're too happy in your misery.
Yeah, you've been there 30 years and you're okay with that.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you couldn't, I'm just saying you won't.
Right, exactly. No, I love working with people who know that they have a purpose. Like, for instance, me. I was sitting in my job, doing a great job, confident. I was even dubbed the closer. They knew they could count on me. But in my mind, I had a little voice. We know who that little voice is. So you were made for more. You were made for more. And I didn't really take the time to figure out what was that.
Right.
Until I had a catalyst, and that was my cousin. She went and did the whole coaching program, and every time she kept talking about it, I'm like, that sounds like me. People always come to me for advice anyway, right?
Yeah.
Why don't I get paid for that? So that was the spark that changed everything for me and got me out of my comfort zone and said, you know what, I was made for more. I am made for more. So those are the people I look for who know they're made for more.
Right.
And they just need that little spark to say, don't forget that dream. Don't forget why you were put here. Go for it. Get out your comfort zone. You can do it. I'm such an encourager. Like, I have the gift of encourager and faith. And I just give them all my faith and all my encouragement and help them step out of their comfort zone and get into that 8%er.
John Maxwell talks about two things that are very adjacent to what you're talking about. Number one, he says, see everyone with the 10 on their forehead. Meaning I've already seen you. My vision of you, my vision for you is better than you see for yourself.
Right.
And so giving them that, Dale Carnegie said a very similar thing. He said, give a man a fine reputation to live up to, and he will.
Yes.
When you tell somebody you're a loser, there's no hope for you, it's not going to get any better, this is the best you'll ever do, I only see you in prison, they start to believe those things, and when they start to repeat those things, they make them true.
Yes.
Whether they want them to be true or not is an irrelevant thing. Once you start speaking them, they become true.
Right.
But one more step than that, as John says, sometimes you got to lend somebody your belief. You've got to lend them your belief in them when they don't believe in themselves.
Yes.
And that's what an encourager does, right? I identify the greatness in you that you don't see.
Yes.
And I point it out to you and then give you instructions how to get there.
Yes.
So is that more of a coaching role, more of a mentoring role, or is that kind of a braided strand?
It is somewhat intertwined, but yeah, I love drawing people out of their comfort zone. I've had women who, like, I'm not going live on camera at all ever. And then after a coaching session, they're out doing a live. I've had women come in thinking they don't even have a business. And in 3 months, they're like earning thousands of dollars in a totally different industry, you know, that they even thought they could do.
Right.
So it's it's seeing that greatness in them and pulling it out in such a way that they believe it and they take action. So I always say a plan without action is a dream deferred. So many of us have been deferring our dreams for far too long, and I don't want that for anyone. So I help them create a plan and take action, keep going.
So what is it that you see in them? Recently we were at an event. We're doing a ropes course. We stopped for a lunch break. There were a couple of teenagers there, and they were chit-chatting with each other. And I had watched them that morning in the hotel talking at breakfast over somebody's laptop. And they were kind of making fun of the guy across the room and his laptop. And while we're sitting at lunch, me and my wife were having a conversation. I hear this kid say, I don't know how she does that. It's like she read me like a book, like she knew everything about me and I didn't tell her anything. And after he said that, the other guy was like, yeah, I know, it's creepy, isn't it? And so I looked at her and I said, do you want to know how she knows that? And he's like, what? I said, do you want to know how she reads you like a book? He said, well, do you know? I said, yeah. He said, how? I said, well, if you looked at my laptop and saw that it has 4 USB drives, but they're all USB-C, no USB-A, no HDMI, no output ports, no disk drive, what would that tell you? He's like, well, tell me it's made in XYZ year. And I said, and you would recognize it as, he said, well, as an Apple and a MacBook Pro, probably. And I said, how would you know all that? He's like, well, because I've been studying computers for years. Interesting. See, she's been studying humans for years. Yeah. And so in the same way that a mechanic can hear your car and go, yeah, you need to turn that off because it's about to blow up, or that's not the problem you think it is, you know, a $4 spark plug and you're back on the road. The difference is the expertise of observation and the years of experience of doing the same thing over and over again. So your successes in sales, your successes in get it done, your successes in just get over yourself and make it happen. And your 9 years in the belly of the whale to go, hey, trust me, when you come in here smelling like that, I know exactly where you've been. I know exactly what you've been up to. Yeah. And I have a pretty good idea what you need to do differently. Not because I know you that well, but because I know the signs, and they're the same for everybody. So give me 2 or 3 of the signs that you would pick out from somebody's life. If you just saw them across the room and you're like, yeah, it's pretty evident that you have XYZ problem. I have a doctor friend. She can look at somebody from across the room and go, yeah, they've got hip displaced. They probably don't even know that their spine is out of alignment, but with the one chiropractic adjustment, they'd walk better. And you're like, they got 2 feet and a back. What else do you see there? But they know their business. So tell me some signs that you see and you're like, I can tell from across the room this is the problem.
I don't know across the room. I am much more verbal,
Okay.
so engaging with people. But just in a short conversation, I can hear from the words that they say that they have a belief problem.
Okay.
And they need some belief, put onto them. I can tell that they have a complete, what is it? Like they know what they know,
Right.
but they don't know what they know.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
They have something in them. They have the way they walk, the way they talk, but their words are not aligning with their thoughts.
Right.
Or maybe they are and they need a different thought process, right?
Yeah.
Different words. So I can help draw that out of them and help them just see you've got what it takes.
So we do a similar thing, because when I say you've got to tell better stories better, the first half of that is you've got to tell better stories, because most people's stories are an absolute mess.
Yeah.
And they're either evidence of a broken relationship, a broken heart, a broken, they've lived through trauma and they haven't got out of it. They're still in the dark and they haven't found their way to the light yet. And so that's the story they tell. And telling that story in a better way doesn't change anything until you tell a better story.
Right.
Then when you tell a better story and you can articulate it better, then you not only are finding hope for yourself, but you're demonstrating to others that there is a way out of the darkness.
Yes.
And that's such a hard thing for people sometimes. But like you said, you've got to identify what it is that they currently believe, what is it they're articulating, and then what is it we need to change about what you're saying. Sometimes it's just one word.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I recently heard a coach say, and it's true, we know it's true from all the research, 93% of communication has nothing to do with words.
Yeah.
What that tells me is that those 7% are like a scalpel. To diminish it because it's only 7% is to diminish the power of the scalpel. It may be the smallest tool in the hand of the surgeon,
Right.
but without it, nothing else happens. And so all the research, all the diagnostics, all the x-rays, all the MRIs, et cetera, when the cancer is there, whether it's the laser or the scalpel, it's the small thing, it's the 7% or the 8%
Right.
that are going to make the biggest difference, the Pareto principle, 20% or 80%.
Right.
And we've got to realize in our thought processes, in our communication, in the way that we treat people around us, in the way that we empower people around us, do we believe in them? Do we encourage them? Do we look in the mirror and like that person too?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I know there's no silver bullet, there's no magic pill that you can take, but if you were talking to someone who said, I'm just curious if you could even help me, I got 30 seconds. What would you give them as advice to make an immediate result that they could look back on and go, she had some really good wisdom and I applied it and it worked? What would that be for an absolute stranger?
Absolute stranger. Everything you want is on the other side of your yes.
Okay.
So when you stop allowing fear, doubt, insecurity, overwhelm, overthinking to rule, like I did for so many years, and when you just start saying yes to the opportunities when they come, whether you're prepared or not, just say yes. Have a great opportunity, go for it. Stop letting fear hold you back. Stop letting the thoughts of your own or even the literal words that other people say, just like you said before, when people tell you you're not good enough and you're going to go to prison, all those things, don't believe those lies. Believe what God says about you and say yes by stepping out in faith. Stop letting fear hold you back. Say yes.
So say yes is the number one piece of advice. And how can they reach you if they want to spend more time with you, if they want to learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, they can go to achieveyourdreamsnow.com and
Okay.
find all great things about me.
Excellent. Dawn, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for watching Storypower TV. And if you've stayed this long, again, like it, share it. There's somebody else who needs to know the first step is to say yes. Yes, I will. Yes, I trust you. Yes, I can. Yes, I believe. Yes, sir. Abba, Father, I heard you. Yes, I will. That's where it starts. And if you'll start there in obedience, you'll be amazed what's on the other side of that. Because on the other side, that's where Moses held up the stick and the waters parted. That's where Peter got out of the boat and began to walk on the water. It's where Eventually, Peter reached the place of obedience that he walked past strangers without a word, and his shadow healed them. And it started with yes. And it could for you as well. And if you're still wondering, does God even care about me? Does God even know that I exist? Here's my challenge for you. Ask him, God, do you love me? You might be surprised that he answers you. You might be surprised with how. But I challenge you to do that. I promise if you ask him, he will answer you. That's not my promise. That's his. I'm Loren Norris for Storypower TV, and tell it like it is. Have a blessed day.
Everything about this event has just changed me to push into my purpose.
The transformation has been miraculous.
You don't have time. People are dying. They are dying spiritually. They are dying physically. They are wrecked emotionally. We don't have time.
I went from broken and unworthiness, feeling completely extraordinary and ready to move into my season.
Every single time I come to this conference, the Holy Spirit shows up and flips my world upside down. This is a place where we get to rise up, where we get to be better husbands, where we get to be better fathers.
I'm completely changed. The woman I was 7 months ago is not the woman I am today.
It's time for you guys to step across the threshold. This is your call right now. It's not 37 years from now.
So let me explain to you what salvation is. Healing, deliverance, prosperity, righteousness. Until you know you're as righteous as God, you're going to continuously try to get what you've already got.
And if you're a man and you think this is just for women, you need to rethink that. A lot of us men are like lone rangers, so we think we can do it all on our own. But really, that's not how God designed us. And we thrive when we're in relationship and with other men.
I am no longer confused about God loving me and calling me to higher.
But you don't know, I failed 7 times. Well, baby, let's go for number 8. Fail quicker next time, okay? Because if we fail quicker, we can do the thing that don't work. The quicker we get to the thing that works. Somebody talk to me today.
Are you okay with being in the same place you are right now? Do you want to move forward in your life? Do you want your life to change? Then you have to do something to change it.
And I think that we are well on our way to creating this revolution, if you would, this movement, this revival.
I get to take that and have that power to go home and be with my kids and my husband and to be unwavered with who I'm called to be and the royalty that I get to live into.
And I just want to do so much more now without any fear.
Because every one of you individually is a weapon. And our job equipping the saints, what God has called Summer to do, is to prepare you to go out there like a laser.
You fight for this. You fight for this. Because God rarely calls the qualified, but he qualifies the call.
Someone like Summer who believes do not go where the path may lead, go where there's no path and leave a trail, because you're in alignment with someone who masters what she does, and she's committed herself to helping you to master your voice and your story and reminding you that that story that you're sitting on, somebody is waiting on.
Because this is where we get to be lit up to go and change the world.
If you have a hunger, you have a hunger, and you have a hunger, and you're like, yes, I just want God to touch me. It's why I came here. I don't want to leave without it. I want to go out in the world so filled up with Jesus that if it unzip me, Jesus is just going to pop out. I'm ready.
I'm ready. My soul and my spirit and my mind are strong. And I want to go out in the world and I want to be a bold, unstoppable force for God.
Done taking Jay Loren's Storypower Masterclass. It was amazing. I took away so much information. One of the things that I really enjoyed being formally trained in media many years ago is the call to action. I will use that with every speaking engagement, and I'm so grateful that Loren just spoke truth into his teachings, and he is a true professional. And I know this might sound weird, but I've been taking certifications in different classes over the years, and Loren is not boring. I can't even believe I got here at 9, and then the class went by so fast that I was like, it's time to go already? And I was shocked that it was time to go already. So it's an awesome class. You're going to enjoy it, I promise.